to do a huge welcome to the official launch of the third Adventures of Mist, which is, as you know, called Fire. So we're really excited to have you here, and please, everybody, make sure that you are muted so that we don't get this kind of stuff happening where we get little background noises. And so we're really excited. Welcome everybody who's here live, and also a huge welcome to everyone who's seeing this later on YouTube. Now, we're actually broadcasting this from 4 different locations around the world, and so it's a really global collaboration. And I want to start by acknowledging and paying respect to the original Indigenous people on the lands of where the 4 of us are broadcasting from. So firstly, the Widjabul Waiabul people of the Bundjalung Nation, which is the place where I am so honoured to live, work and play. Then the Wurundjeri people of the Kulin Nation, which is where our illustrator Lucian lives. The Yurrakwal people of the Bundjalung Nation is where Wendy is, and that's where this is being hosted from. And the people of the Nipmuc and Mohegan Nations is where our author Becca is, in the place that's now known as the Commonwealth of Massachusetts. So I want to pay my respects to the elders past, present and emerging, and acknowledge all the Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islanders that might be with us today, and pay respects to your elders past, present and emerging. So today is World Wildlife Day. So what is that? Google says that it's an opportunity to celebrate the many beautiful and varied flora and fauna, and raise awareness of the multitude benefits that conserving them provides to people. So we felt that that made it the perfect day to launch our book about the fires that happened in Australia in 2019 and 20. So I just want to start with a couple of little bits of information from the Living Planet report of 2020 that was released by the World Wildlife Fund. Wendy is going to throw a link to that into our live chat. And if you're watching this on YouTube, make sure you check the description, because there's going to be links to loads of stuff down there for you as well. So biodiversity is fundamental to human life, and yet it's being destroyed by us at a rate that's unprecedented in history. So far, decades of warning haven't changed anything. And those of us here probably already know what the threats are, but I'm going to just give a brief overview from that report. So the changes in land use, unsustainable agriculture, logging, transportation, commercial development, energy production, mining, these things are all leading to a species overexploitation, which is things like unsustainable hunting, poaching, harvesting and bycatching. And this leads to invasive species competing with the native species, and a huge increase in disease. And the unsustainable practices are causing just enormously high levels of pollution. And so the cherry on top of all of this mess is the resulting climate change. So how do we explain this to children? That's what this book series is about. We want to help children move through an understanding of some of these really deep topics that we barely even understand as adults. Now, this is a spoiler-free launch. We're up to book 3, and if you haven't read any of them yet, it's okay. We're not going to spoil a thing. So I want to start now, before we hand over to Becca to talk to us about the books, is I want to thank Wendy from Vision Walks Eco Tours, who's hosting this for us. And she's doing all the techie work in the background, including recording this to go onto YouTube. So I'm incredibly grateful for the work that she's doing. And Wendy runs a unique, award-winning, sustainable tour business out of Byron Bay. And she does nighttime tours with the vision goggles. She does tours all around the place, and she now also does virtual tours. I nearly couldn't think of the word. So people from all around the world, while they're locked down under COVID, can still actually come and tour our Bundjalung region with Wendy. So Wendy, please throw a link to your website into the chat. That'll be in the description below as well. And it's well worth checking out what she does. She's an environmental scientist with a teaching and IT background, running a net carbon negative business. And that means her business captures more carbon than it produces. I just always have to take a second to go, wow, and absorb that. She values the true concepts of local community, culture and economy. And I love that Wendy will not conduct tours on any sacred land, and she won't let anybody approach the wildlife and feed them or attempt to touch them. So I'm personally really proud to call Wendy a friend. And I'm just going to finish with one little quote from her website about herself. She hails from the Sydney's northern beaches and grew up playing soccer, hiking, and laughing too loud at Monty Python. So she's a gal out of my generation. So now Becca is going to come on screen. Hopefully we'll see her appear now, turn her sound on, and she's going to tell us a bit about how she got involved with me.
Hi, Katrina, thank you. And hello to everyone, and thank you for coming on from all over the world and joining with us as we celebrate the launch of our third book, Fire. And everyone's probably wondering how a girl from America, from Massachusetts, got involved with Katrina and saving the koalas. My lifelong love of koalas started around the age of 5, way back in the 80s when my mom introduced me to them. And it just snowballed from there. As a young girl, I made my own comics called Super Koala, and just really educate myself all I could about koalas. Then along came the internet and Facebook. And surfing along one day back in 2016, I found Katrina, and I was lucky to get in on the ground floor of when she started Koala Gardens and her Koala Gardens Facebook page and website. And we struck up a friendship, and I said to her, hey, I'm a writer. At that time, I had written 2 adult novels, and I've always wanted to write a kid's book on koalas. And she was super excited about that, and we decided to collaborate. And on came the adventures of Mist. And I chose Mist because Mist was the first koala I saw logging onto Katrina's Facebook page, and Mist just captured my heart. She was the sweetest koala ever, and the story just burst into my head about what can we do with Mist. So we started from the standpoint of habitat loss and just what would a koala feel? What would a koala be going through when they lost their home? And so many emotions that the kids might feel. And we just gave Mist a really kid-like persona and just made her very relatable to children, but at the same time trying to get across to them how important the habitat is. Basically everything just rolled from there. We had made a contest to see if we could find an illustrator, and we met the beautiful and talented Lucienne, and her illustrations are just amazing. I can't say enough about how awesome Lucienne is. Her illustrations just bring Mist to life beyond my wildest dreams. It's like she was in my head and picked up everything I could think of about Mist. And from there, here we are, talking to everybody around the world. Mist has grown so much more than I could ever imagine. And the people that I've met and the people I've connected with, the friends I've made, all you beautiful koala lovers around the world, it just is very exciting and fills out my heart with love for the koalas and for everyone working to save the environment. So I think we have Lucienne coming up next.
You're just looking at me, waiting for me to talk, are you? Okay, well, Womanjeka, that is welcome in the Wurundjeri language, where I am from. Happy Wildlife Day. I'm the illustrator of the books, as Rebecca said, and I've been really enjoying the whole process of illustrating. I've done all of the 3 books so so far. What you have to do when you're an illustrator is really, well, what I do is really look into what is going into the book. So that means researching. All right, Mist, she was an actual koala. Where does she live? What does she eat? What are her surroundings? So would I put her in an apple tree? Would I illustrate her and put her in an oak tree? I don't think so, because they are not indigenous and native to where Mist lives. So I'd have to be drawing eucalypts, gum trees that are native to that area. There are different trees all over Australia. So Mist, she actually had a tree that she loved, and it's called an Angophora, and that is closely related to the eucalypt species. So once I know what birds and animals are going to be in the book, I can start painting. So there's always lots of learning for me to do as well. Now, I'm really happy to be involved in this series because it's all about learning to love and respect nature if you don't already. Now, I do already. My parents have been fantastic in that education of, you know, loving and respecting where I am and my impact on nature. So when I found these books, or when I got involved with these two lovely people, Katrina and Rebecca, it was just fantastic. I felt really at home and comfortable. So respecting nature, here I am, you know, illustrating all these beautiful birds and insects, because in every book there is a little insect that you can find on the pages. So that's an exciting thing. So can you imagine a world without these little guys? Can you see that? That is a blue-banded bee, and they are native to Australia. And it'd be pretty awful if we didn't have a blue-banded bee, in particular any bee, because they're very good pollinators and really help our flowers and our trees. Can you imagine a world without that little guy? Now that's a black cockatoo. Some of those are in an endangered species. What about, ooh, I think you might be able to see a wallaby there, swamp wallaby. Okay, I don't think you can see this. Oh, can you see a squirrel glider? Anyway, it would be an awful world if we didn't have all of these animals. So there's a place for every little thing in our world, whether it be insects, frogs, beautiful koalas, or the trees and the flowers as well. So it's not great at the moment in Australia. We are we're not very good at looking after our environment. But anyway, hopefully these books will help to educate that and stop that process of wrecking. Now, my illustrations, they're all done in watercolors. And the blue-banded bee, you could see him quite well. Okay, so he's done watercolors and on watercolor paper. Now the paper is quite thick, so if you can imagine a cereal box, it's that thick. So water, you know what it does to paper, it tends to, you know, mush it up and then it falls apart. So thick paper is important. So that's probably about it for me at the moment. I'll probably talk to you a bit later.
And that brings me back in again. So we were just having a few little technical issues with the background then, but hopefully by the time Lucian comes in next, we'll have them sorted out. So now from my side of things, how the series got started, as Becca told you, she approached me and all of a sudden, here I am, you know, just putting things out on Facebook about what's happening with the koalas, and Becca approaches me and says, can I write about your property? And we realized quickly that it's going to have to be a series because there's so much that we want to tell children. And we started talking about that we needed a really exceptional illustrator because, you know, an illustrator is not just an add-on, they actually bring the story to life. And we had all these pictures in our head, but we needed somebody who could do that, who could bring them to life. And so we ran a competition, and the first entrant came in, and we were like, oh, wow, amazing, we did it. We found the illustrator. And then the next entry came in and we're like, oh, wow, that's like really amazing. And then the next one, and we're like, how are we ever going to choose? We couldn't believe it. It was astounding. But we really went with our gut feeling, and we just felt this connection to Lucienne right from those early, just going through her images and talking with her. And we have never regretted for a moment that we chose Lucienne, because the relationship the three of us now have, I think you can probably feel that in the way everyone's talking. The relationship is just incredible. So I live on a private property, and on this property, I have created a wildlife sanctuary, and this is totally a voluntary thing that I'm doing. Okay, so I actually have to work a day job and earn the money to pay my mortgage and eat and all that kind of boring stuff. But the wildlife conservation and koala work is my passion. So that's what I'm really interested in doing, so that I have got something to hand down to the next generation. I have a conservation order on the title of the property. So that means that when I move on, nobody can undo that. They can't take it off. So this is in place permanently. So that tells you a bit about how passionate I am. The stories that we're writing are based on the real animals that actually live or have lived on the property. And they're fiction stories, but they're actually based, of course, on the real situations that are happening both locally here and globally, because I'm a strong believer in one planet, one future. So what's happening here is as important for Becca over in Massachusetts as what's happening over there is for us here. So
Stop it, Mac.
somebody needs to mute their video if they can, mute their sound if they can. And I can't believe that we are actually launching the third book. And now I'm going to hand it back over to Lucienne, because she's going to give us a quick look at book one.
Okay, so this is book one, and it's called The Adventures of Mist Finding Koala Gardens. So it starts off with poor old Mist finding that she has lost her home. She has no idea what's happened, but she's just lost her home. And in a picture book, you can see what happens. You don't have to have many words. Okay, I'm not too sure if you can see that. I hope you can. That's the first page, and that's telling a lot about what's happened to Mist. Anyway, she's fortunate to make some friends, and they find Koala Gardens. So it's a story of adversity and overcoming it. But not only that, for the kids to understand and go through, but it's also about what is actually happening in our environment. So there's been a lot of bulldozing, as we know, land clearing, and all too rapidly. And we need people like Katrina and Koala Gardens, safe havens that we can help to save our flora and fauna, help them to survive, and help those beautiful things for our pleasure and for a healthy, happy ecosystem. So that's book one. There is a happy ending, and then that will lead into book two.
Which is me back again. So We're, you know what, we've never actually done anything like this before. So we're really having a lot of fun learning, you know, how to run something like this. So book 2, a lot of you have got this. It's called Look Out. So Mist has settled into Koala Gardens. She's become part of the colony. And all of a sudden, an unexpected visitor comes along, and you can get a pretty good idea who or what that visitor is, but why is she here and how did she get here? So one of the things that we really do with the books is we set up a situation where young Mist now finds out about some issue that's happening, and she and her friends have to work together to solve it. And what we do is we do not take a didactic approach where we tell children what the solution is as such. We get the animals talking and thinking about it, and really the children are working out what that is. But it always involves collaborating with friends, so you can see the absolute delight of the images that are in here. And so Mist and her friends in this book set out to find the answers and discover the importance of teamwork and friendship. And I'm just going to show a little bit at the back of it, because I'd also like at this point to do a shout out to Janine. So you can see that she's done a review on the back. Janine Duffy is the president of the Koala Clancy Foundation, and she has supported every book by reading them and doing a review on the back, and that's fantastic. On the back of the new book, we also have Wendy, who's helping us host today, who's done a review. And Becca is now going to tell us a bit about the new book, the one that you're dying to hear about, Fire. So over to you, Becca.
Hello. So this is Fire. This is our latest book, and I think all of us agree that this was a tough book to write for so many reasons. Because we started it at the beginning of last year, we get held up, and the fires were just so heartbreaking to hear of. And at the time that you were having fires in Australia, we were having fires on our West Coast in California that was devastating to our wildlife. So it really is telling kids the global effect of this drier climate and how climate change is not just getting warmer, it's affecting everything, and how the fires are affecting everything. So in Fire, Mist doesn't really know what's going on, but she gets some visitors. She gets told that they've lost their home, kind of like she did in book 1, and they need a safe place to live. And as Mist always does, she just feels the need to help, because Mist is just this kind soul who wants to help everybody. And she really just gets to the bottom of the problem. And we don't really have a hint on this cover of who our new friend is, but it's someone that I think kids can connect with on every level. And as you see here, Mist is really thinking about what she can do to help. And that's the basic root of this book, which I don't want to give it away, but it's a really special thing, and probably a solution that you guys can guess. And Mist really jumps onto the wagon, says, come on guys, we have to get the word out. We need to tell the humans what they need to do. And I think that's an important lesson, because if we listen to the animals and listen to nature, we'll know what to do, because nature is always speaking to us. And I also want to take a second at this time to give a quick shout out to Katrina for all she's done for helping me make my dream of helping the koalas come true. Katrina is a wonderful person. She's doing such amazing work over there. And thank you all for coming and watching us. I'm going to send it back over to Katrina.
It's actually over to Lucienne. So Lucienne is going to talk about the paintings for Fire.
Right, as soon as I sort out what this screen's doing. Now, as I said earlier, as an illustrator, I like to do lots of research on what's going on. So in the fires, like it was just not a nice situation. So I had to look into what actually happened to the trees and and could they regenerate? Would they survive? So here's an actual illustration about, don't know if you can see the tiny, tiny little growth on one of these trees in the front there. Can you see that? So that's called epicormic growth. So even though the bushfires have been so intense, trees can have a particular way of coming back, surviving, and then creating beautiful growth and foliage again. So the depiction there was of devastation, but a sense of hope. Here is the tree that we thought that was just burnt to cinders, and now here it is with a little bit of growth. So that's one thing. It's important in the illustration. So I've put, you know, the one tree that the growth is at in the foreground. So that's the important thing, okay? So in a book, you need to know what is going to be important and what is to come out, you're supposed to come out and grab your attention, and what is to fade into the background so that we can, you know, just go, oh, what's going on over there? So Rebecca showed you that picture of mist. All right, so here's another one. This is the actual picture that I've illustrated on the cardboard paper. So I'm not too sure if it was clear, but there's Mist's big face in the foreground, and she's going, well, what the hell's going on? In the background, you can see that the trees are being cut down, and even more in the background is the Katrina's showing us a little picture. There's a city. So it's trying to get kids to go, have a think, all right, what's going on? Oh yeah, look at all those power lines, look at that bulldozer, look at the city, what's happening? Get everyone thinking. So not so many words. Now this picture is one, sorry Becca, I've told them who's in it. But this is a beautiful squirrel glider, and I had to research, where does a squirrel glider live? Now, Katrina has some on her property, but I needed to know what actual place that they lived in, and you know, what's so important there? So they need hollows. So I've had to illustrate a little hollow there and give a depiction of where this squirrel glider lives, so that the kids will understand that if we cut down the trees. Anyway, that's me for more of the illustrations. We can go back to you, Katrina.
Thank you. All right. So I can't believe how quickly the time is going by, but how can you purchase the books? So you can actually purchase the books from the three of us. So if you're wanting to purchase them from Koala Gardens, then all of the proceeds when you purchase from me goes to the work here at Koala Gardens. And Wendy is throwing some links into the live chat. I actually have two websites. So I have a website that is just for the book series, and there are resources there for children. There's online games that I created they can play. There are some parent-teacher resources, or you can buy them through the Koala Gardens website, which is just as fine to do it. And of course, at the shop there, you can also adopt the wild koalas. And there's another link Wendy's going to throw up there, which is to my Redbubble shop, which is where you can buy koala merchandise, such as, I'll just stand up. You can see that I've got an Adventures of Mist t-shirt on. So there's lots and lots of merchandise there with lots of your favorite koalas on it. I will develop a range of Matilda and Ellie and Hugo merchandise as well. As you might imagine, takes up quite a long time. So now Lucienne is going to jump in, and she's going to tell us how you can buy books directly from her.
So my website has been a little bit behind, and I haven't got full details of how to buy straight from the website, but you can email me from the website or Instagram. You can contact me, or those who know me, just give me a call and we can do you a deal. Now, don't forget, Christmas is coming. It's, what is it, March? You didn't even think it was March, did you? No. So there you go. Quick, get in and buy the books.
And over to Becca. Becca's going to tell us how you can buy books directly from her.
For me, you can visit my website, which I just put up, or Wendy just put up on the screen for me. And also you can visit www.beccaboucherauthor.net, or you can email me at rboucher41@yahoo.com. If you're here in America, the postage would be cheaper, America to America. But any link, the money all goes to the koalas, and we're all happy to help.
I don't know if people have been asking questions in the chat of Wendy that they would like to ask us, because in a few moments we're going to go into a little question and answer time. So this would be a really good time for you to start putting questions in. And while you're thinking about anyone, anything that you would like to ask of all of us or of just one of us, Wendy's going to compile those questions and then put them to us, because obviously it's quite difficult for us to be talking and to be watching the chat. So that's why it's great having Wendy host. While you're doing that, what I want to do is announce the winner of the competition that has been running for the past week. So the competition, I put it up across 3 channels, which was actually quite a feat to do. So the competition went up across YouTube and Instagram and Facebook. And to join the competition, you had to answer the question, what do koalas need to save them from extinction? Now, I had, as you might imagine, lots of great entries. Oh, and the prize? The prize is a $100 koala adoption of the koala of your choice. So I'll say first, nobody got the question wrong as such. So of course, judging it was really difficult. But I'm going to read to you the winning answer. Oh, and it had to be 30 words or less. And I would have let 31 or 32 words go through. So the answer was lots of trees. So the eucalyptus in Australia don't fall victim to climate change, and we all in the world should pay attention to our carbon footprint. Climate is global. Now, what really struck me with that one and really made me feel that was the winning entry is that I'm really am quite hung up at the moment on this point of we have one planet and one future. So for that entry to say climate is global just really, touched me. And that winner was actually one of my Instagram followers, Tanjulik. Now, I don't know if Tanjulik is actually here at the launch live, but you did not have to be here at the live launch in order to win. So that's fine. If you're here, Tanjulik, then you will know, oh my God, you've won. But I'm going to privately contact you on Instagram and sort your adoption package out. And I just saw Gary Edwards make a great comment in the chat. There is no planet B. And that just is like so absolutely true. And I'll give Gary a quick shout out while I'm saying that, because Gary is a fantastic supporter of Koala Gardens. And there are so many fantastic supporters here that I don't want to start missing people. But I also saw Linda Lowe put a little comment in before that Zorro, who is in Miss Book 1, was the first koala that she ever adopted. So I've got some people here who've been following the property for a really long time. Yeah, I miss Zorro. I still look for Zorro and Klinger kind of subconsciously every day when I'm out there. So now what we're going to do is, I think at least one question has come through. You can keep typing questions in there and Wendy will answer them. And Wendy's going to come live on the video screen, as well as Luke, Lucienne and Becca are going to come back live on the screen. And Wendy's going to play interviewer for us. And Wendy's good at that because Wendy and I have done interviews together before on video, and Wendy's going to ask the questions and then we'll do our best to answer.
The first question, Katrina, is actually one for you, from someone I'm thinking is called Bernard Jean. It's a bit hard to tell what people's names are. So the question is, do we do koala talks around the Sunshine Coast? Would you mind if we were showing your books to the kids? As they are such a great educative tool?
That just gave me a little catch in the throat. Bernard has supported me for a long time, and his books arrived this morning. He already pre-bought a set of 3 books. So Bernard, I would absolutely love to talk to you about getting books up there to you at a wholesale price, and you can promote them and you can help raise money for what you're doing up there. That's another thing I'll note is I do wholesale the books to a few little places, but I only wholesale them to organizations that are helping koalas. So I don't put them in bookshops as such. Because I'm working locally, so I'll let them go to Friends of the Koala, Port Macquarie Hospital, environment centres, places like that. So thanks. I've got your email, Bernard. I'll be in contact with you.
Right, so we've got another question in from Val Schmeider, I think. Hopefully I pronounced that correctly. Katrina, have you seen little man Ash on the property lately, and has Hugo been following right behind him?
So it's a great question because what I do is I try to really tell the stories of the animals that live on the property through my social media. So so people get a feeling of they're actually watching the property with me. And Ash is a koala who only usually drops in 1 or 2 days a month. So I suspect his home range just touches an edge of the property. And every time he does come along, the next day Hugo's there checking all the tree out. So there's obviously a little bit of a something going on between the 2 boys. And yeah, Ash was here last week, Val, and Hugo was very aware of it.
Has anyone else got some? I saw a lot of statements in the chat, but I haven't seen many more questions. So has anyone got any more questions?
I've seen lots of stuff go rolling by in the chat too, so that's been really lovely.
Yes, well, my friend in Kathmandu, she wanted to know if we could make the noise that koalas make when they mate. And it's just too harsh a noise to do on this screen today. So, Bindi, no, we're not doing it.
Which one, the male or the female?
Oh, who enjoys it more?
No, which noise?
I can do a female.
I know, go. Well, mine was going to be a bit more dramatic, but I'm going to leave it at that. I think Gary has just asked a question. Will I have any more koalas to adopt at any point? And I will. I'm thinking that Jesse, some people know Jesse. He was the Houdini that escaped out of the soft release enclosure on my property. And that was mid-January, and he's still here. So he looks like he's going to stay. And of course, we're all just holding everything crossed for Matilda and Ellie to have Joey's this year. and there's no way I'm putting anything like that up for adoption yet, but once we get to that point, they'll be up for adoption too. I hesitate to put Ash up for adoption because I only see him, you know, once or twice a month. So yes, Gary, definitely more adoption. Let's just tell all the koalas to come and move in.
Mhm.
Katrina, we have a related question to that from Val. Any word on Queen Matilda's condition, and has she decided to be accommodating?
Nah, she's playing the suspense out for absolutely as long as she can. in true female koala style. Oh, well, no, I shouldn't say that. I mean, Phoenix was just so happy to show us that wriggling pouch that was amazing, but no, she's holding her cards close. All right, well, we've actually gone a little bit over time, so if there aren't any more pressing questions, we've all got a champagne glass. Mine's got water in it.
Mine's virtual.
Oh, yours is virtual. You've got
Virtual.
your champagne glass. So
I have soda.
I just want to raise a toast to Mist and her memory, and to the launching of book 3. Woohoo! Who would have thought that we'd be at this point already?
Guess what? My able assistant brought me a glass.
Fantastic!
This book is launched.
This book is launched. So thank you so much, everybody. Dan Lunny, I can see Dan Lunny on screen, and I'll just give Dan a shout out. Dan is a koala scientist from Sydney, so it's really exciting to have a couple of koala scientists from Sydney here, and there's people from all around the world. So thank you so much, everybody.
Thanks, Katrina, for your book. I think it's wonderful talking to more than scientists. I've got 2 4-year-old grandchildren, and I love these stories.
Oh,
Oh, that's perfect.
that makes me so happy.
That's perfect. So we're going to call the launch officially closed now, but a lot of people will probably leave. But if you want to turn your video and sound on, you can say a quick actual hello before we leave. As you can imagine, we really needed to keep things as unbusy as possible while we did the official bit, but it is nice to kind of walk down into the crowd and say, hi, everybody. Don't forget to check in the description below and get the links to come and buy all of Mist's adventure books. And so that brings us to the end of the launch. And just look at all these excited people waving and saying hello. It was so exciting. We had people from all around the world, scientists, lay people, people who work with koalas, all kinds of people attending. So if you made it this far, can you put in the comments below, Mist is the best adventurer? Thanks so much for watching. There's going to be great video coming up for you in March. Thanks for visiting Koala Gardens. Did you hit the like button? Now before you go, there's lots more great video to see, and make sure you've subscribed and hit that notification bell.